Is the BLU R2 Plus 2019 worth buying? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with my review video of the BLU R2 Plus 2019. Now, I've had this phone for quite a while, and I recently realized that I never actually did a review video of it. So I definitely want to do that, so here it is. Now, you can currently buy this device for $99.99, and I personally bought it on Amazon.com, and I'll be leaving a link over to Amazon so you can check out the latest pricing for the phone, because I'm sure over time the price will go down. Now, this was launched originally in February of 2019, and that's when I bought the phone, and I've been using it ever since, on and off. Now, this device is available factory unlocked, which is really awesome, but BLU recommends that you only use it with GSM carriers. I've heard mixed things about whether or not it will work with Verizon and Sprint, so if you use a GSM carrier though, like AT&T or T-Mobile or Cricket or Metro by T-Mobile, then you're good to go. This device also has dual SIM compatibility, so if you have two different SIM cards, then just know that you'll be able to use them both at the same time. So if you have a work SIM and a personal SIM, for example, then you can just put those both in this phone and essentially combine two phones into one. Now, the device features a 720p display that is 6.2 inches in size, so here it is. It's a very good looking and clear display, and BLU always does a great job with that. Another thing I really like about the display too is how bright it is. Now, I do have it at its maximum brightness, but still, a lot of the times with budget phones, and especially phones that are under $100, you don't get any brightness at all. So the fact that this phone is very bright is a great thing to see. Now, of course, up top here, we do have a notch, which is another feature that you don't find as much in phones in this price range. The notch itself is pretty wide though, and it doesn't look like the teardrop design that we're seeing more and more on newer devices. So the size of this notch is more like the size that you'll find on the iPhone XS. But as you can see, we have the front-facing camera here in the notch, the earpiece, and the front-facing flash. So we do have a front-facing flash with this, another unusual thing to find in lower-end devices. And to be honest, in my opinion, I think the front-facing flash is a little bit of a gimmick. I personally have never used it. I mean, I've used it a few times to test it, but I've never used it in a natural situation, and I doubt you'll use it either. But it is there just in case you need it. Now, the front-facing camera itself is 8 megapixels. Now, later in the video, you'll see some samples from the front camera and the rear camera. But it's okay. I mean, it's not bad. It definitely could be better, but this phone is a $100 device, so you can't have your expectations be too high. Now, the device features 16 gigabytes of internal storage, which you can expand with a micro SD card up to 64 extra gigabytes. There is no wireless charging with this phone, but we do have a fingerprint sensor on the back, and we have Face ID on the front, which are two different methods to unlock the device. Of course, you can always just use a PIN code if you want to. Now, also on the back, we have the rear cameras. So it does have dual cameras. It has a 13 megapixel main camera and a 2 megapixel secondary camera. Now, I'm not overly impressed with the cameras on this phone, and I guess that makes sense because this is a cheaper device. I wasn't expecting anything extremely good on this phone, but I would have probably liked to see the two cameras combined into one decent camera, instead of two cameras that are kind of below average. Now, you do get a bokeh mode with this phone, but it seems like the bokeh mode mostly just blurs around the edges of the photo and doesn't work in the same way that it works with the iPhone XS. The device features 2 gigabytes of RAM, which isn't overly impressive, but again, for the price, that's a compromise that you're gonna have to make. And it runs the MediaTek MT6739 processor, which is also not much to brag about. Video recording with this phone maxes out at 1080p at 30 frames per second. It features a 3000 milliamp hour internal battery, which is actually quite impressive for this device. So you're gonna have no problem getting an entire day of use out of it. Also keep in mind that the 720p display doesn't use nearly as much battery as a 1080p display does. And the device runs Android 8.1 Oreo, which is not the latest version of Android, and I haven't seen any signs of this device ever getting updated to the newer version of Android, which is Pie. So you're probably stuck with Android 8.1 Oreo for life. Now the good news is that the software itself is very well optimized, so you're going to get good performance with the phone, at least as good of performance as you can get. So I suppose it's one of the benefits with going with this phone. So now that we've gone over the specifications, let's talk about the hardware of the device. So I already kind of talked about the display here. So it's a 19:9 ratio, coming in at 720p with a 268 ppi. We have the notch here up at the top, and we have a pretty large lip down at the bottom. So it is still a stylish device. I think it looks good. I like that it is tall. I definitely like that it has that 19:9 ratio because that makes it really good for web browsing and watching videos and pretty much doing anything. And having a 19:9 ratio, or at least a ratio kind of like that, certainly is the future and the way things are heading. On the left side, we have two buttons here. The first button is a button that triggers the accelerate and power saver modes. So for accelerate, it will kill all apps running in the background. And for power saver, it will turn the device over to this like black and white look, which will come on in a second. Here we go. And it simplifies all the functions of the phone where you only can access a number of apps here. And if you want to turn it off though, all you have to do is tap on this button on the side and it immediately turns off power saver mode. So overall, I think it's a good thing to have. And if you're ever in a dire situation where your device is about to run out of battery, then you can just tap on that button and you'll at least be able to get more battery life out of it than you would otherwise. We also have the volume rocker here. Then on the right side, we have the power button. We have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. On the bottom, we have the speaker, we have the microphone, and that's it. Now you'd expect to see a micro USB port on the bottom, but there is none. Now on the top, we do have the micro USB port and the 3.5mm headphone jack. Now this material on the back side is really awesome. It's like a reflective mirror material here. So you can clearly see my reflection in that. But it is very unique. I haven't seen that with very many devices, so it does look good. But it is plastic, of course, and you can see that it has gotten scratched up since I've used the phone. So definitely be prepared for scratches to appear if you're using this phone quite a bit. Of course, we have the camera module here on the back, we have the fingerprint sensor, and we have the BLU logos. And the BLU R2 Plus 2019 was released in February. Now, all of these are available at different price points. So overall, the video viewing experience with this phone is good. The speakers actually sound surprisingly clear considering how cheap this phone is. Of course, the speakers aren't going to have as good a quality as what you can find with the iPhone XS or the Galaxy S10, but the speakers still do sound good. Now that we've gone over video viewing on this phone, let's now cut over to the cameras. The camera quality certainly isn't anything too amazing, but it's about on par with what I'd expect in this price range, maybe even slightly above average. But that's not saying much. You'll at least be able to take photos with this device that have pictures that are usable, so that's certainly a good thing. Now let's cut over to some video quality samples. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin Breeze here doing a test video with the BLU R2 Plus 2019. Now this is with the front-facing camera, so I'm excited to see what it looks like on the computer, and I want to see what you think. So let me know down in the comment section below your feelings on the video quality here. I'm definitely interested to know what you think of the video quality from the BLU R2 Plus 2019. In my opinion, it's good enough, but again, just like the photo quality, nothing too fantastic. So overall, do I recommend the BLU R2 Plus 2019? I think it's a decent device. I think for $100 it certainly is competitive. Now, the Umidigi A3 Pro is certainly a good device as well that is actually slightly cheaper than this phone, so you might want to look into that too. But I do like the BLU R2 Plus 2019. I mean, I think there are a lot of things to like about it. I think my favorite thing about this phone is that it has a very large and good looking display. I also like how the software is very well optimized with the device, so I certainly do recommend it. Now, if you're interested in buying this, then take a look at the link in the video description, which will take you over to Amazon, which is where I bought this phone. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the BLU R2 Plus 2019 and if you'd buy one for yourself. But this is Kevin here. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.